Hey, folks, I'll ask you a question today. Are you connected to the life source? I'm here with Jeff and Gabe. And when I met these guys and heard about their book, I said, oh my gosh, this is amazing. They actually personify this GRACIE concept, and we're going to learn more about it. But Jeff, why don't you start us out, man? Where did this book come from?
So one of my, thanks, Carrie, for hosting us.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorite historical figures is King Solomon.
Ooh,
and
yes.
I think he's such a, he's always been fascinating to me, especially since I was about 12 years old when I read the story of, how he became king, and as the story goes, what he asked for. Instead of asking for long life and riches and, dominance over his enemies, he actually asked for wisdom. And as a 12-year-old boy, that captivated me. Wow. And so I've made it a life pursuit of mine to pursue wisdom. And in Proverbs 4, verse 23, King Solomon says, just a really fascinating thing. He starts by saying, above all else. And if you pause right there and say, this is a guy who was history,
it's like better than Elon Musk.
Unique in human history. He was incredibly talented. Yeah. He was incredibly wise, incredibly smart. People traveled from all over the known world at this time just to sit at his feet and hear him speak.
Yeah.
Right. And so for him, he knew a lot of things about a lot. And for him to say, above everything else, above everything that he learned, that he's experienced, that he's possessed, above everything else. And so it's just like I was sitting on the edge of my seat when that in Proverbs 4:23, he's saying above all else, right? And he says, above all else, guard your heart because it determines the direction of your life.
Wow.
Okay?
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so any person that has any sense of sanity has to ask the question, well, if it's really that important, coming from a guy who's unique in human history,
yes,
how do I guard my heart?
Wow.
And so that's what this book is about. It's 6 guardrails.
That's good.
It's not all inclusive. Obviously, there's many guardrails that we can put around our life, both relationally and financially and morally and physically and spiritually. And so there's many guardrails that we can have. But this book talks about 6 guardrails that have become staples in Gabe's and my life and in our business.
I love it. I love it. That's quite the setup. And Gabe, when we look at Solomon, it's a very unique combo. Don't worry, I'll put our view back here. But, you think about Solomon, you think about wealth, right? So, I mean, fine, let's pick our Elon Musk today. Then you pick wisdom. Okay. And then you're thinking, well, gee, I don't know, Mother Teresa, I don't know, but you start, and then you Einstein, and then you mix them all together and you're like, yeah, that was Solomon. So we might have it in one person, but Solomon had it in all areas. And like Jeff just said, he asked, look, guard my heart and wisdom. And then you got these 6 guardrails, but you personify it in this GRACIE. Is this true? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I love how you set that up. When we are going through the process of talking about these 6 guardrails, we subscribe to EOS. I don't know if anybody is familiar with that. Traction, love that, and begin to work through this and realizing that we could personify it through a person. Our 6 things, beginning with gratitude. And it's a really fun conversation. Of course, we play with it a little bit and say, we'd like to introduce you to the most amazing person in our organization, perhaps the most amazing person in your life, or one of the top 3, and this is GRACIE. And so we have fun with that in interviews and introducing new staff to her. It's a little humorous, but it really gets to our core. And one of the things, if you tie Solomon to GRACIE a little bit, Solomon, when he asked, right? Solomon already at 12 years old, he had the most wealth he could ever dream of, right? King David handed him everything. He knew nothing beyond that. He was already the wealthiest he ever knew, right? And it was out of pure desperation that this 12-year-old boy said, what in the world, right? What can I do? What are some guardrails that can help me? I already have everything, right? But this is what I literally don't have. I don't have this. So these guardrails, I think it pairs with our lives a lot of times when perhaps we're asking God or we're asking whoever, people around us, I can't see forward, and I just need to stay on a path, right? I need something to bump up against and to keep me from when I'm veering back and forth and I don't know. So that's where GRACIE came across as we developed these and integrate it into our companies and into our lives.
I think that the world would have better companies if they applied Life Source, the 6 guardrails. In fact, you guys, what I love about it is you're not just theory. You actually have a whole business around it. Strategic Legacy Group. Is this the correct one?
That's one of our businesses. Yes.
Wow. And what are people doing with this company if they choose to work with you?
So, I am the co-founder and chief visionary of 2 companies. One of them you have up there, SLG Wealth, and the other one is 3D Money. Both companies have a singular focus, really, of helping people grow and protect their wealth by successfully navigating the inherent risks within the Wall Street mechanism. Simply put, we help people do the best they can with the resources that they have.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. So I like that. A faith-based alternative investment company, social and environmental impact is our focus along with the return. That's rare. I've never heard that before. And my guess is that a lot of people are going to say that. I've never heard that before. Is that true?
Yeah, Carrie, for 35 years, the last 35 years, I've, helped faith-based people discover alternative financial and life solutions that increase their freedoms, freedom in the area of time, money, relationship, and purpose. So, if you ask if somebody asks who I am, well, first and foremost, I'm a child of God. Right. I'm also a husband. I'm a father. I'm a grandfather. I'm a pilot. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I love building businesses that create value for people.
Oh, that's good.
And probably my favorite Zig Ziglar quote, sums it up well. He said that you can have everything you want in life if you just help enough other people get what they want. And so I love creating and adding value to people's lives. And we've built a business around that.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So Gabe, I saw the picture of you and Jeff, and what is it like working with Jeff? I'm putting him on the spot. Gabe, does he embody GRACIE? I know none of us are perfect, but I mean, that's pretty contagious if the company says, look, we're going to be all about GRACIE. How much is it a daily part?
I think he does. He does an amazing job of embodying GRACIE, and it's really at our core. And as you can probably tell when Jeff talks or when I talk, if we just look at the first part of Life Source or GRACIE, gratitude, right? It all stems from that. You brought up faith-based on there. At the end of the day, we're grateful for a God who saved us every day. And our gratitude for life, our gratitude for the people we get to work with, for writing a book, for, sitting here with you, Carrie, it permeates through. So when you begin with something in your core, it's not of, hey, every day I got to read this and I got to look at, what are the 6 GRA, no, it's just natural and it comes out. And of course, no, we're not perfect, right? But when your DNA has been rewritten by a Savior who loves you, to be that away from your old sinful portion, I mean, that it just extrudes out. And we have the pleasure of having so many really cool conversations with people because they realize these guys they actually care about us. And when they want to partner with someone who is grateful, they care about the relationships they're in because they're grateful for them. They actually say, hey, how are you doing? How's life? You know, put business aside for a minute. And we do something really interesting. Of every meeting of great importance, we go around the table and we begin with gratitude. We call it going big.
That's cool.
You know, strategic coach, right? You know, Lee's stuff. But the interesting thing is we do it across the board. Contractors, bankers, investors, investment bankers, you know, all these things. And we get all these different smattering of people that we get to care for them and for their life. From the concrete contractor who is, you know, he's like, hey, I'm grateful for my wife because my kid was just in children's hospital this last week. And the guy who, you know, I barely hear, you know, any other words than 4 letters come out of his mouth.
Yes.
You know, all of a sudden he's got a soul, right? You know, the soul, it's like, wow, he's really struggling. Or some of the videos on 3D Money of investors, right? Their life has changed because of the interaction with 3D Money. You know, so it's really cool. You know, does Jeff embody it? Yes. How does he embody it? Right? It's written in our DNA. It's really cool to see that filter out every day, whether you're trying or not. It's just there.
Yeah, Carrie. When it changed, when you're transformed or changed, it really becomes, you know, like garlic. So you can, you know, you can go and have a great Italian meal some night, and the next day, you know, it doesn't really matter how many breath mints you chew on, right? You know, it comes out your pores.
Yeah.
Right? And that's how it is with really these 6 guardrails. Yes. And I think just the other thing to piggyback or springboard off what Gabe is saying, you know, for years in life, because I've been a God follower for most of my life, and I've been a business guy for most of my life. And so when I was younger in business and in my faith, my idea is that, well, I'd like to make a lot of money so that I can give a lot of money.
Sure.
Right. And I did that. But in doing that, what I realized is that there was a disconnect for me. And it wasn't coordinated. I mean, it was good, but it wasn't great. And so I went through, you know, a real transitional time from a career standpoint in my life around 2010. And God, you know, I was during that time, I was asking God, what do you want me to do? Right. And I spent 6 months just really, really earnestly seeking God. God, what do you want me to do? That was my prayer for 6 months. And for 6 months, it was like crickets. It was just silent. I was getting nothing. And so about 6 months into my earnestly seeking, I was out on a hike in the mountains, and he spoke, and he said to me, he said, Jeff, I don't care what you do, I care what you become.
Oh, that's good.
And it's like, oh, whoa, that's a new thought. And so what I did is I went back to our house and I took out a legal pad and I started writing down, what are the characteristics that I want to become more of in the next chapter of my life? Right. And then I use those characters. What is the man I want to become? The business person, the father, the husband, what is the man, the God follower? What are the characteristics of the person that I want to become? And then I use that as an opportunity filter, right? To filter. And that's what led us to doing what we do now. So what we would say is, while most companies are really about getting work done through people, right? And let me digress for just a second on that, because when I was a young man or young boy learning about business from my dad, he told me, Jeff, there's 3 ways you can make money in the world. He said, you can make money by man at work, right? Yeah. And this was back in the 70s when, a person, right. Man at work. And he said, that's you going out and getting after it, right? Then he said the second way you can make money is money at work. That's where you got some money and you invested and you want it to come back to you with friends, right? That's money at work. And then the third way you make money is people at work. And he talked to me about leveraging yourself through other people. That was the story of business. So I've known that for a long time, but in 2010, when I had this really transformational experience, and so I had viewed business as a way to get work done through people. And the transformation that happened for me and for Gabe and I in our business is this idea of, instead of getting work done through people, what if we focused on getting people done through work?
Wow, getting people done.
So what if we focused on getting people done through the work that we do? And that was the beginning of, instead of, oh, I want to make a lot of money so I can give a lot of money, right? And this was, it began a process of where your life work actually becomes your life ministry. Right? Where there's an integration between life work and life ministry, because Gabe and I are about getting people done through the work that we do.
I love that. Ooh, that's good. Gabe, he's got some good ones that you gotta sit there, and about tomorrow I'll be like, I get it. I fully get it. But
yeah, about it, Carrie. If you want to, just take a look at the book. It'll be there for tomorrow, right? You can check that out.
Exactly. Well, and the book is fantastic, and what I want people to realize too, Gabe, let's just jump into that for a little bit. So, what do you hope the book does? So let's say we're having this chat now, in a year, and we say, hey, listen, here's the table of contents, by the way, super good. What do you hope happens?
I mean, the sky's the limit. I think on the base level is, we simply want people to create an awareness and a conversation around these things, right? Hey, how can I think about my life in terms of gratitude or results or any of the things that, the 6 things, and begin dialoguing about that. Right. We use it as a tool for people we meet with, whether investors or friends or talking at church, and we give it out. It's about a conversation, right? And just like we could say, well, what does America need right now? America needs a conversation, a civil conversation. It needs ideas put in the furnace of debate, right? And to actually talk about this, right? And not just yell at each other. And our hope is that we could have a conversation around these areas. And, a great example is how do I have a conversation about gratitude with my family? Well, every night at supper, we go around, we talk about things we're grateful for with my wife and my kids, right? Oh, and it's simple as that. And it's like, hey, what are you grateful for? Oh, this. Well, why are you grateful? And we begin to have this dialogue, and there's things, oh, they didn't like that. Like, what's a great example? This morning, we homeschool, we had a science class, and one of the guys who hunts on our land, he got a deer. So what did we do? Well, we went out and we saw him, got the deer, right? And we're excited. They like venison bacon, so it's an exciting time, but they're not super thrilled about seeing this happen. But end of the day, tonight they're gonna, we'll talk about that. Some will be grateful, some will be like, it doesn't make my top 10, or anything like that. All that to say, it's just a conversation. How we get to know each other, and we get to walk through life together and bounce ideas off each other. So I would say at the core, we're looking for a conversation and people to begin to engage in these thoughts and say, does this apply or doesn't it apply to my life? And what can I do with it?
I love this, because you guys know that in business, I mean, we're part of Strategic Coach, and we often look at what is our unique ability. Other people would call that, what is our differentiation? I don't know any wealth planning, wealth strategy that makes faith so paramount. And I know that, I mean, I'm just kind of like blown away here. So who do you attract? Maybe Jeff, I'll go to you first. Who do you attract, and why?
Yeah, I mean, it's people who want to be good stewards and want to honor God with their resources, right? So the scripture in Matthew that talks about, to whom much has been given, much is required. But there's a second part to that. There's a second part to that. So the first part is, to whom much has been given, much is required. The second part says, but to whom much has been entrusted, much more will be required. And so it's like, well, wait a minute. For years, I thought, well, what's the difference? Well, the difference is there's trust, if I'm trusted with something, or entrusted with it. To whom much has been given. To whom much has been given. So what's the difference between given and entrusted? And so, if I give you $100 bill, right? Okay, well, and you could do something foolish with it, right? You could, buy chemicals or drugs or alcohol or something like that, right? You could do something that isn't wise, right? And or you could do something that was wise with it. And so if I give you $100, right? If I give my kids or my grandkids some money, right? To whom much is given, much is required, and that's true. But if I entrust you with something, that means that I'm giving it to you for a period of time to steward, to take care of, right? So if you're taking care, now, Carrie, I'm going to give you, $1 million, right? And I want you to take care of it. Or I'm going to give you $100 and I want you to take care of it for me, right? Until I get back. And so because it's not your $100, it's not your $1 million, right? It's not yours. But you're I'm entrusting it to you. And so much more is required. And so people that do business with us are people that acknowledge that what they have is not just there for their enjoyment. They want to steward it well. They want to be wise with it. They want to do the best they can with what they have. And so, what I started when I explained, we have people that, we help people grow and protect their wealth outside of the inherent risks within the Wall Street mechanism. See, there are so many eroding factors on our money and on our wealth. There's so many eroding factors. And people, I'm very passionate about the lack of education, the lack of financial education that is in the marketplace today. Our schools are not teaching, our colleges are not teaching it. And quite frankly, there's such a broad diversity in financial advice. It's hard to know who to believe.
That's
right?
true.
And people are, you take two well-known names. You take Dave Ramsey, right, who's a well-known radio personality that gives financial advice, and you take Robert Kiyosaki, who is the author of the best-selling finance book of all time, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Okay, but those two guys, they're both very successful, and both have helped a lot of people, but their ideas and opinions about money couldn't be more opposite. So how do I navigate that? How do I, as the average American out there, how do I navigate that and help and really choose which is the best path for me? And so that's what we've made a business in, helping people know how to navigate some of all of the inherent risks and eroding factors that are out there. And we do that through the two companies that we're involved with.
I love it. Gabe, as we close, I know that 3dmoney.com/life source is incredible. And you have all these different tools and resources and a quiz and downloads. So I'm going to encourage people to definitely tap into this. And what if somebody says, you know what? I think there's going to be two types of people listening. Somebody's going to say, oh my gosh, these guys are awesome. I need to work with them. I need to start a conversation. So what would you say the action item is for that? Is that literally just contact right here?
Yep. That's the shortest, easiest way. That'll get directly to us.
Okay.
Also, if you take the quiz is simple, hey, what are my thoughts about investing? And there's not really, it's not like give us your social security number or anything like that. It's like, hey, how do you view this? That gets us into the system as well. And we'll work with you. But like I said, contact us directly. Say, hey, I heard about you guys on the podcast. I'd love to A, B, C, and D, whatever your heart's desire is. And we'd love to chat with you or connect you with somebody who maybe can resource you as well.
And then I would tell anybody, whatever business you're in, GRACIE needs to come to your company, the 6 guardrails. And so you've just added a new team member. It's called GRACIE, and it's those 6 guardrails. And I know that Jeff and Gabe's book will massively increase your influence, impact, and income, because you can't beat that type of new addition to your team. What do you think, Jeff?
I completely agree. GRACIE has been transformational in our company and in our lives. When I told my wife that I was going to introduce her to a very special woman, she was a little uncomfortable.
That's right. That's right.
She got to know GRACIE. She's learned to love her as much as I do.
I love it, folks. Get this book. It will definitely improve the way you view your resources as well as your life. I love what Jeff said, that God doesn't care as much what you do as opposed to who you become. There's so many good nuggets today. So Jeff, Gabe, thanks for trusting us with your book, and folks, get a copy today.
Thank you, Carrie.